Hello, this is Jeff Green, broadcasting live from E3 in Los Angeles for the CGW Radio podcast. With me is the entire gang of idiots of CGW, plus special guest idiot.
Vice idiot.
We don't all have mics because we're in a crowded, cramped room here on the E3 show floor, but we're going to try to swap out so everybody gets their say. But with me on mic right now are...
the previews editor, Shawn Elliott.
One of you talk, God damn it.
Reviews editor, Ryan Scott.
Raspy bastard, Darren Gladstone.
And we're just going to get right to it because we don't have a lot of time and we have a lot to cover. But I'm just going to say from the start, does anybody disagree with me that this is like the best E3 for PC games in like years? And this is not me like blowing like hype smoke up the collective rear. I really think this has just been an awesome show for PC.
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it's been the general vibe. I mean, like, you figure with a year where there's, two consoles duking it out for supremacy here, PS3 and Wii, and yet the games that everyone's talking about are all PC.
Yeah. It seems like sometimes, even when the PC has a good year, it's like, it still almost feels like we're playing, we're kind of like the backup or, the redheaded stepchild to what's going on at the show, but it seems like there's a lot of stuff that's PC that's actually center stage. Spore, Crysis, Quake Wars, games like that are all getting serious attention from, seems like, the population at large here. I don't think anybody's listening.
No, I totally agree.
Add enemy territory Quake Wars to that, definitely.
Quake Wars, right? So actually, let's just like talk about it. What have you guys seen that has really been awesome for you at the show? Spore. Yeah, Ryan says Spore.
Let's get the obvious ones out of the way. I mean, Spore looks great.
Yeah, we should say we just all walked out of the Spore demo. Will Wright gave about a half-hour demo of that game, and it looked pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play it, man.
He just kept going.
Yeah, it was
here, now we're going to show you the planet. Now we're going to show you the solar system. Now we're going to show you the universe.
It's like most games would have been like one or two of those levels would have been enough, and then it's like it kept going back, and then there was another level of game, and then another, and then another.
The one thing I am looking forward to seeing more on that in the coming months, the coming year, is since we've seen all the macro scale stuff and the movement between one phase of civilization to the next. I'm wondering about the specifics of within each one of those subsets, and how much depth there is.
You're right. That's been left pretty vague. Like, what are you going to do when you are in a city? Like, what is that going to play like?
Well, that's obviously probably one of the more deeper parts. Is just building up that civilization. It becomes a civ game.
What kind of game? It looked like neighboring planets could attack you. So maybe it sounds kind of like an RTS or something.
Maybe. And then earlier it was like Sims, right?
Yeah.
Like making friends and.
It's almost like all his previous games were kind of leading up to this, kind of like he was tackling the different pieces of it before then.
And I guess the other big concern in that is there's all this customizability that we've seen. We've seen not only the creature creation menus, but civilization creation menus from housing, structures, vehicles, and whatnot. But how cosmetic is it? How superficial? Yeah. Can you design a civilization that works, that excels in one field and not in another? Same way that you would with the creature. All that range, I don't doubt it, but that's all the stuff that I'm looking forward to seeing more.
So you're a hater?
Not a hater. Don't even say it. Don't even say that.
Okay, so enough of Spore. You can read about it in the June CGW.
Right.
On sale now.
Yes.
What else?
Ramble off. I've got to ramble off on enemy territory.
Yes.
Go ahead. Quake Wars, just because I spent a good 3 hours playing it.
That is so awesome, man. I was enjoying the hell out of that today.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how Battlefield 2142. We've looked at the two and off the bat said, well, enemy territory looks more interesting. And now that I played Battlefield, it seems like it's a lot more fun than I suspected. But by comparison, its game, Splash Damage's game, specifically, is a lot more, compelling at the moment. Sitting down and playing each of those, and you can just see all the potential for sort of the typical the emergent play that people are used to in those. So you could put an anti-personnel mine in the front of your Jeep, and instead of the usual, Battlefield at C4 on a Jeep, run it in, ghost ride it, get out and detonate it. But now you can sort of bulldoze through personnel, and if they don't get caught in the wheels, the anti-personnel mines, the claymores, are going off on the front of your bumper as you're running through them. So I'm already finding all kinds of stuff like that, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed riding my Icarus on top of a Titan tank and just dropping bombs right on top of them.
Right. Yeah, cool. That thing's fun. I mean, it goes back to the jetpacks and
totally.
secret weapons expansion for Battlefield. And like the first thing, another thing I tried is one sniper took the jetpack to the roof of the GDF spawn and started sniping. But it was reassuring to see that they had already anticipated that, and they put up automated turrets on in that very area. So it was good just talking to them about how because as we see the game, I mean, it looks great right now. They can ship it and it would be great, but the real challenge is just bouncing in.
You can tell they're spending a lot of time.
Well, right. I mean, these are the former Team Fortress Quake guys. So I mean, like, they know what they're doing, setting up the level design.
And it was reassuring talking with Kevin Cloud there too, because they know that they not only need to test with testers that are trying to break the game, for bugs, but with testers that are trying to break the experience for other people, specifically griefers and whatnot.
Griefers like you,
right? And I offered to help out if they needed some, but you guys, other cool stuff.
BioShock. Anyone else?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I want to.
Need to get in there, so go off on it.
You need to run over on that. It's awesome. It looks gorgeous. As opposed to most other first-person shooters, it's where there's jank corridors. This is like if you've read shameless plug for our May issue,
right.
If you read the preview there, I mean, it's
so this is the game. This is from Irrational, who made System Shock 2, and this is being called like the spiritual successor, really is, yeah. Right? It felt like System Shock 2 to you?
I mean, it was still early on, but I mean,
yeah.
There's definitely a tension there, and a vibe that I can't even really put my finger on it. But like as you're playing it, you feel like this is the backstory is like there's this utopian society all underwater, and you are walking around it, and you feel like there was this whole war that happened, or this whole civil war, I guess, and you're just kind of dealing with the piece, picking up as the pieces are being picked up. You just want to get out of there before the basics.
Did you get to interact with any of the other creatures?
The big brothers and the big goons that you usually see in all the screenshots. They protect these little mutated girls. So it's like they walk around the world, and they'll run away scared from you behind the big goon, the big brother, and they'll just they'll leave you alone as long as you're not perceived as a threat.
Okay, so that's interesting, because I would say the big point that they were making is that you don't have to kill everything, and that your options go beyond the sight them up and pull the trigger thing. So I just wanted to see if they're delivering on that promise.
And a big part of the game world is that you gain the ability to alter your DNA and give yourself certain powers, and you go to kind of like how in System Shock you go to little stations and drop some money in and get whatever bonuses out.
Cash for strength.
Cash for strength. Well, you find this stuff in the world. You basically actually, what's a good comparison was probably more like Guild Wars, where you pick your deck of powers you want before you go out on a mission.
Right.
Same kind of thing.
That's cool. Crysis was the next game that was going to come, and there's a good segue, because in that game, rather than earning points to allocate to various fields, resources and stuff, you have them all together. You have, say, 100% energy, but on the fly as you play, you can say move the attribute. Say I want to power all my all the energy into my arms or something, and then at which point then you can lift very heavy objects. You punch someone and your melee attacks become that much more devastating. You can run it all to speed if you have a circumstance where you just want to run really quick. Put it into your cloaking device when you want to go stealth. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It was similar treatment, but instead of having to earn the stuff, you're constantly pulling that menu up. And
well, I mean, then there's also, just going back to BioShock for one more second, the other piece of tension I kind of felt mention is that there's almost no ammunition in the world, so you have to really kind of scavenge and try to figure out where you're going to get your next way to protect yourself.
I remember System Shock being that way too, wasn't it? You really had to fight to reload your weapon. It seemed like you really had to preserve your ammo.
So it's a little different, but you're right. It is very cool how you could switch your suit on the fly, and you could change the loadouts of your weapon, and
right.
Crysis thing,
game
looks so beautiful.
It looks awesome, man.
You can, when you pull up your gun, instead of the traditional SOCOM or Ghost Recon interface where you go to a menu and click left and right and look at your options, you just hold your gun up at an angle where you can see the parts, and then different menus appear off of that. Yeah. And I thought it was a really cool organic solution.
Was it my imagination, or was there this kind of blur effect going on?
I was noticing
when you move fast, that wasn't just my eyes.
Quick mouse look movement would create a motion blur.
That was neat.
Yeah, I caught that too. I thought it looked really It was a really cool.
Professional assessment as a critic is that it was neat.
Right. And it's all that high definition lighting, high dynamic range lighting going on.
Yeah.
And so it's you're getting blurry-eyed at certain points and
I don't know if that's going to get distracting after a while or not.
Not as distracting as blinking and Alone in the Dark.
Holy crap, that was weird.
That was a weird effect.
They got to lose that.
Actually, if you hit like the space bar, you can pour some Visine in too. It's great.
So for all the people out there listening, one of the gameplay features in Alone in the Dark is that I don't know if it's glaucoma vision or what, but as you're looking at your environment, your clarity degrades, and then there's a button you press to blink, and then at which point your visual acuity increases, but then once again it goes back down. But it looked like it was just for one hallucinogenic segment of the game rather than an entire. Well, imagine playing an entire game where you're blinking,
you have to keep blink manually,
right? And then next they need you have to press semicolon to keep your pulse going or to remember to take a breath.
I was thinking even when watching that, it was reminding me of like old RPGs where you had to like eat, where you had to do all these like manual things that just were not fun. But I have to stop and eat an apple now or else I'm going to faint.
Right.
And I was thinking like, now we have to blink? Screw you.
Right.
That game was kind of weird looking, I thought. Not to bag on it.
Well, no, what do you think?
Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, I mean, I only played the first two games in the series. Kind of gave up on the third and fourth. But what do you think?
It looked cool to me. Here's why. It reminded me of a graphic adventure, but with a greater degree of realistic interactivity, and not so. I mean, at least what they're showing, not so much fighting and things, but hot wiring a car from a first-person perspective and moving around and all those sorts of things. I mean, that keeps you entertained, even though you're not necessarily shotgunning ghouls and whatnot. And that looked promising to me.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe the blinking was just too distracting.
Yeah, I think it's just they probably only do that in like the beginning and like certain little parts to kind of sell a vibe.
I think that to sort of be a general piece of advice for any developer demoing a game: don't show off the blinking like the first thing.
Yeah, the blink simulator. Before I pass up my microphone, a couple other things I saw. Surprise, World in Conflict, and only that because I'm not traditionally CGW's biggest RTS guy, but the cool thing, I played the multiplayer 4-on-4 match, and you basically, instead of collecting resources and whatnot, the gameplay is divided with one player on Air Force, one player on infantry, another on armor and tanks, and then one on support, which would be bridge layers, anti-aircraft vehicles and whatnot, and consequently, I had a lot less to focus on, and I was able to use my troops, my Air Force to utmost efficiency.
What the hell is that?
Does anyone else hear like trumpets in the headphones?
Yeah, it's like the cavalry has arrived.
We're at the horse
E3.
races. So what's going on, Ryan? What are all these emotions you got going?
Hand signals.
Okay, apparently Jeff's still second. Anyway,
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
and then
we're losing focus.
Actually, so were there any like cool games that you saw like that weren't like the big games that you kind of like that surprised you?
World in Conflict?
Besides that,
there were games that they're not small ones, but there were ones that I went in. They weren't as high on my radar yet, but Supreme Commander, Chris Taylor looked awesome, I thought. And
Vanguard.
What did you think of
Vanguard looked really good. I'm going to go on record and saying that there's a lot of haters for that game around here, but I am not one of them. Yeah, Darren. No, I mean that game. Well, that game's been around for like 2 years now, and there's been nothing to show except like nice architecture.
Yeah,
it's looked like a CAD program. I think we've said that.
Yeah, D&D CAD.
But this time, I thought it really. I mean, it's a really ambitious MMO. I think they have. It's hardcore though. I don't think it's going to appeal to everybody, but like they're bringing back corpse runs and they're bragging about it. You got to respect that. There's no option to it. If you want to retrieve your character when you die in this game, you got to do the corpse run.
Yeah.
I'm bucking out.
Okay, we're going to swap mics here,
but you got to do it for me.
Okay.
About the Novant Falcon.
So we're gonna hot swap in a second.
We're going to hot swap. We're hot swapping out Shawn Elliott, and we're bringing in Eric Nair, one of our esteemed freelancers. And Shawn Malloy, our brand new and spanking new managing editor at CGW. Hi, hello. Shawn.
Hi.
Nice to have you aboard. Eric, you too. Hi.
Hi, guys. Hi. I hope my voice is coming across.
Yeah, we hear you. So, Shawn and Eric, what did you guys see that you liked that we haven't talked about? Or chime in on what we talked about that you liked.
Well, I just want to say the thing that I was most impressed by is the new Duke Nukem Forever. I think that's going to be a great game. And no, I'm kidding. Go ahead, Shawn.
easily the best thing I saw was Spore, but we already talked about that to death. I'm actually looking forward to the collectible card game aspect too.
We did talk about that. That was cool.
That's something I would actually do, which is probably something I shouldn't admit first thing off the bat.
That's why you got the job, Shawn.
But yeah, going back to Supreme Commander, that was they did a couple of really cool things that I actually haven't really seen in any other RTSs, like the ability to use the scroll wheel to zoom all the way out and almost have it turn into your mini map.
That was neat.
That's something that like Galactic Civilizations 2 does, which is kind of different genre but pretty close. It's so useful. I do it all the time.
Yeah, that was very cool. I thought
it's kind of almost the Atari version because you just get little dots, but really useful. Plus, you can dual screen it, so you can have.
That was interesting. He was like presenting that as like I'm unveiling this like great new feature, which it is great, but like how many people have two screens?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Actually, but one thing that was kind of cool though that someone is going to take advantage of, I know I will, is the being able to coordinate your actions. So you could pull off a pincer attack, and you could have them coordinate, like attack both fronts at the same time, and you can have it like hit at the same ETA. So instead of you having to like jump back and forth between the two different like squads, it does it synchronizes it for you. And then let's say you had like a picture-in-picture window. They're leaving it modded open so you can like create several picture-in-picture windows in the interface. So like I'm imagining like you task one window to like look at one strike force, another at the other, and you just kind of like.
I love the units in that game. Those humongous units.
Yeah,
he's been talking about that for a while, how he wanted to have a game where the units were actually of scale, I mean, like he gave the example if he never wanted to see like pikemen sinking a battleship anymore in a strategy game.
The Civilization 4 syndrome where the guy's towering over the city.
Right. So that was good looking. And
actually, I just want to. I was playing also in THQ's booth was Frontline Fuels of War.
Oh yeah,
Frontline's Fuel of War. It was from the Desert Combat guys. I was actually kind of surprised by that one.
I was too. Yeah, they showed that on Xbox 360 and PC both.
The best way I can think of describing it's kind of like Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, but more of a focus on the action as opposed to the tactics. And I'm kind of looking forward to that one. I mean, it's easily a year and a half off, but
well, as most of the stuff is.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the games I saw that I don't know if you guys got a chance to go see the Codemasters booth, but they showed me a couple of games. One of which called Maelstrom was a really interesting RTS. It's got beautiful graphics, and a lot of the game engine is based on a 3D system where the ground that you're on is actually raised up quite a bit, so you can dig huge holes into the ground with orbital satellite weapons and fill them with water, which has poisonous effects and all sorts of cool stuff. So the engine in that game was very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that.
While you were there, did you get to check out Overlord?
I did, as a matter of fact.
That was a really funny game. If you get a chance to check it out, I'd recommend it. It's basically, it kind of reminded me of Dungeon Keeper in a way. You control one evil character, and you have a horde of minions, little goblins, and you have them like go kill people, loot houses, and basically just be the bad guy.
Yeah, what I saw was they go to this hobbit village, and he's got this slavering horde of goblins armed with pikes, and they open some poor baker's home and rush in, and you hear all this crashing and burning, and these people come out screaming, and then you hack them down with your sword.
It's a cool idea to put goblins in a game. I don't think anybody's ever really come up with that.
Very original.
Well, it goes kind of to what
that was kind of a hateful thing to say. I'm sorry.
Hateful
the game
bastard.
It goes kind of along the lines of what Darren was talking about, where you have sort of the ability to control multiple things at once. The goblins are sort of controlled by a certain set of controls, and your own guy is controlled by the keyboard and the mouse, say. And it's a cool system. It allows you to feel like you're doing a lot at once when you're really only doing one thing.
What do you think of the new Alliance race in World of Warcraft?
I liked it. I admit I was holding out for the Murlocs. I wanted to be a Murloc.
They're lobbying. There's still more expansions on the way.
Yeah, believe me, there's
plenty. I think one of the Penny Arcade guys said that he was hoping it'd be Worgen, and when he said that, like, that's all I could think of. I was like, oh my god, I hope it's Worgen. It's so awesome. And then now I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. That's what I was expecting.
They're like big blue evil dudes. And I thought it was cool.
Did you guys see the? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
What did you see the new expansion for Warhammer: Dawn of War?
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
They're adding two races. They're adding the Necrons, this evil undead race, and they're adding the Tau, which are sort of a classic sci-fi race and very controversial in the Warhammer universe. If you're a fan of the tabletop game, the Tau are sort of hated because they don't fit into that whole faux medieval Inquisition mythology.
So the message boards must be like aflame.
Exactly.
They've ruined it. I'm sorry.
So I take that means you play the board game? You play the tabletop game?
I used to back when I was popular in high school, and I had so many invitations. Not anymore.
Just trying to think of other games. Okay, raise your hands if you saw Mass Effect.
I got to see it tomorrow.
Yeah, we got Luke from One Up over there raising his hand. You saw it, Luke?
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Luke from One Up says it's awesome. Yeah, and Ray and Greg from BioWare just walked by. That's the cool thing about being in this little bubble here. There's like gaming celebrities walking by as we yammer here.
Yeah,
one of the coolest things, like especially first day at E3 was I was standing outside the Spore theater, and Gabe Newell walked out, and then standing there waiting to get in was Warren Spector. So just like, oh wow, that's so weird that like all these people are just kind of meeting in the same place, seeing each other's games.
Aaron Hilton and Adam West were here.
Yeah,
Ryan Scott
Adam West was here for a couple hours.
And Adam West, were they together?
Oh, that would have.
Oh, how hot would that be?
That would be so good.
No, actually,
that's the sex video I want.
Absolutely.
Actually, I think the camera would have imploded if.
Like Adam West in the bat suit at what? He's like 75 now or something.
Adam West in the bat suit.